A teacher seeks a jury trial after being shot by a 6-year-old student. Millions of fish found dead in Australia, and multiple tornadoes hit New Jersey. All this and more on this week's episode of Hawk TV News. Welcome to Hawk TV News. I'm Lila Medovic.
And I'm Raid Spellacy. Well-known fast food chain Chick-fil-A is preparing to open another New Jersey location. Chick-fil-A recently received approval to begin construction in East Brunswick from the township's Zoning Board of Adjustment. The 5,000 square foot restaurant will be built on 1.4 acres of land at 371 and 377 Route 18. This East Brunswick Chick-fil-A will feature indoor seating for up to 80 guests as well. This will soon be Chick-fil-A's 60th location in New Jersey and over 2,600 locations nationwide.
An estimated 43,000 people died amid the longest drought in record of Somalia last year, and half of them likely were children. It is the first official death toll announced in the drought, withering large parts of the Horn of Africa, and the report made it clear the crisis is far from over. At least 18,000 people are forecast to die in the first 6 months of this year, according to the report released Monday by the World Health Organization and the United Nations Children's Agency, and carried out by the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Somalia and neighboring Ethiopia and Kenya are facing a 6th consecutive failing rainy season, while rising global food prices continue to complicate the hunger crisis.
Police are investigating a fatal car crash that left 5 Connecticut children dead in Westchester County, New York, over the weekend. A 9-year-old boy managed to survive the crash, officials said. The single vehicle happened at around 12:20 a.m. on Sunday morning when a Nissan Rogue veered off a stretch of the Hutchinson River Parkway in Scarsdale, struck a tree, and caught fire. The Westchester County Police Department said in a news release. 4 boys and 1 girl were killed in the crash. Although their names have not been released, police say the ages of the victims ranged from 8 to 17 years old. A 6th child, who was 9, survived the crash. The boy escaped the vehicle through the trunk where he had been seated and was transferred to the Westchester Medical Center in Valhalla by ambulance when authorities responded to the scene, police said. A 16-year-old boy was driving when the Rogue veered off the parkway, police said. The boy's father, Malik Smith, told CBS New York that his son had gotten behind the wheel before, despite not having a license or driving permit, and against advice from numerous family members.
A pod of 8 dolphins washed ashore in New Jersey, all of which have died, according to a local animal rescue organization. 2 common dolphins, an adult and a calf, were first found on a sandbar in Sandy Hook Bay. The adult had already died and will be buried on the scene, but rescuers with the Marine Mammal Stranding Center were able to lift the calf from the sandbar onto the pier amid winds exceeding 40 miles per hour and temperatures in the low 30s. It was then determined the calf was too weak to survive and would need to be euthanized, the organization said. By Tuesday, 6 additional dolphins were reported ashore. The remaining 6 dolphins were assessed by our veterinarian and their conditions were rapidly deteriorating. Marine Mammals Stranding Center said the decision was made to humanly euthanize the dolphins to further prevent suffering, as returning them to the ocean would have only prolonged their inevitable death. All 8 dolphins have been sent to the New Jersey State Lab for necropsies, or animal autopsies. We share in the public sorrow these beautiful animals and hope that the necropsies will help us understand the reasons for their stranding, the agency said.
We are going to take a short.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Millions of dead fish have been found in an Australian river due to dangerously low oxygen levels in the water caused by receding floodwaters, government officials said. The fish were found in the Darling River near the town of Menindee and are mainly bony herring. Though other species such as Murray cod, golden perch, silver perch, and carp also died in an ongoing event, the agency said. The bony herring species typically booms and busts over time, the Department of Primary Industries in New South Wales stated in a social media posting. It booms in population numbers during flood times and can then experience significant mortalities or busts when flows return to more normal levels. A heat wave in the area has further exacerbated the lower oxygen levels. Mass fish kills were observed in late February on the Darling Baca River, the Associated Press reported. Additionally, mass fish kills occurred on the river at Menindee during severe drought conditions in late 2018 and early 2019.
A Florida man was arrested after he allegedly slapped a woman across the face with a slice of pizza. During a heated argument, according to court documents, Ortelio Lazaro Alfonso allegedly carried out the bizarre attacking during a possible domestic disturbance, according to an arrest by the Moran County Sheriff's Office, which was reported on by Fox News. The victim accused Alfonso, 39, of striking her on the left side of the face with a slice of pizza during the feud. The court documents said. The man became upset she hit another individual in the home on his bottom area, the affidavit said. Pizza sauce was splashed on the victim's shirt, her shirt collar, and the back of the shirt, the sheriff's office said. She also had remnants of pizza in her hair and near her ear, and sauce was also found by deputies on the walls and ceiling of the kitchen, according to the affidavit.
The number of tornadoes that struck New Jersey during Saturday's violent thunderstorms has risen to 7 after a team of meteorologists from the National Weather Service inspected the storm damage in one area of South New Jersey on Tuesday. The Weather Service concluded the damage in the Mays Landing section of Hamilton Township in Atlantic County was caused by a small EF1 tornado, with peak winds blowing up to 100 miles per hour that boosted the statewide tornado total to 7, tying New Jersey's record for the most tornadoes to hit the state during a single day. The last outbreak that large occurred in 1989 when 7 tornadoes touched down in 7 different counties on an unusually warm November day. This weather service said the Mays Landing tornado was on the ground for only 1 minute from 7:42 p.m. to 7:43 p.m. Saturday and traveled slightly less than 1 mile before lifting up.
Fan of movies? Here's Ian Epstein with a movie review of 12 Angry Men.
Hello Monmouth, and welcome back to Let's Talk Films. For this week, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite black and white dramas from the late 50s, 12 Angry Men. Based off the play written by Reginald Rose and the film directed by Sidney Lumet, this crime drama takes place during a New York City murder trial where 12 angry men, see what I did there, must carefully and thoughtfully consider the evidence presented within the confinement of their hot and humid office space before jumping to a hasty verdict. While the casting is incredibly small, there are some notable actors present in the film, such as Henry Fonda, who plays juror number 8, and Lee J. Cobb, who plays juror number 3. Fonda's notable acting experience ranges from films such as The Grapes of Wrath to Once Upon a Time in the West. You can also see Lee J. Cobb from movies such as On the Waterfront and Gary Cooper's strong and silent Man of the West. If you're a Sopranos fan, you definitely would have gotten that joke. What I found quite interesting and amazing about this film is that it almost entirely takes place in one setting. 12 Angry Men doesn't use stunning visuals, but rather uses clever and thought-provoking dialogue along with supreme acting to pique the interest of the viewer. The film also pulls you through the entire murder case only through the dialogue of the jurors, leaving little outside evidence for the viewer to work with, as if the film is having the viewer act as a juror themselves. Director Sidney Lumet had the actors all stay in the same room for several hours on end and do their lines over and over again without filming them, in order to give the actors a real taste of what it would be like to be cooped in a room with the same people for hours on end. All but 3 minutes of 12 Angry Men was shot inside the bare and confining 16 by 24 jury room after production. Because Henry Fonda usually disliked watching himself on film, he did not watch the whole film in the screening room. However, before he walked out, he said quietly to director Sidney Lumet, "Sidney, it's magnificent." With a $337,000 budget and $2 million gross, 12 Angry Men, while failing in 1957, has garnered its success and recognition as an American classic. The film, while small and confined to a claustrophobic space, speaks a profound message to the viewer, that it is important to have a calm and collective understanding of thoughts and ideas rather than chaos and disunity amongst each other. That's it for this week's film. My name is Ian Epstein. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.
A large fire has destroyed 3 homes in Jersey City and displaced nearly 20 people. The fire tore through 3 multi-family homes on Ocean Avenue just after 10 a.m. Wednesday. It went from 1 house to 2 houses to 3 houses destroyed, completely destroyed. "We just lost everything," says displaced resident Oscar Ruiz. Ruiz says he was rushed out of his home. As the fire grew, luckily, nobody was hurt. However, the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Firefighters are expected to remain in the area to monitor potential hotspots, while a city engineer will also assess the structural stability of the homes.
Middletown High School students and their parents are pressing district leaders to rethink safety policies after a fight caught on video that resulted in a teacher being violently dragged down by her hair. The video shows a teacher and security guard try to break up a fight at Middletown High School when someone grabbed her hair and yanked her to the floor. Parent Jason Doolittle says he's concerned about his daughter, who is a junior, in an environment that is stressful for students. The parent tells News 12 they often receive videos of fights from inside Middletown High School. School board member Fred Williams says he finds the video disturbing. He also says that he and other staff administrators are taking steps to rectify situations of this nature. He may have more to say at later time. News 12 reached out to Middletown Police to find out whether they are investigating and are awaiting a reply.
The possibility of a ban on the social media platform TikTok is raising red flags among some, who worry it could turn off Generation Z voters ahead of the 2024 election. Largely, Generation Z uses TikTok to communicate and to share information. The White House has endorsed an act that would give the Commerce Department the power to regulate or ban foreign-produced technology from adversarial countries. We are taking another quick break, so make sure to stick around.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
Touchdown! Did you see that? Whoa, we scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone.
I should take your phone away.
No. I'll call for a ride.
Wait, why does my face look like that?
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and like jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him, like he's gotta come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
The Biden administration approved one of the largest oil developments on federal land. The project, known as Willow, would undermine U.S. efforts to phase out fossil fuels worldwide. Willow is an oil reserve in Arctic Alaska controlled by the oil company ConocoPhillips. Climate activists are pushing to reduce fossil fuel consumption as a way to cut the emissions that cause climate change, and have tried to stop major investments like this as a way to push the world away from oil.
Ever since Taylor Swift announced the Eras Tour, fans have had a lot of questions. The biggest one, with 6 albums released since her Reputation tour in 2018, how could she possibly do each album justice in a limited set list? After she kicked off her first 2 tour dates, it was discovered the set list wasn't so limited after all. Over the course of the 3-hour-plus concert, Swift performed all of portions of the 44 songs.
John Wick Chapter 4 had wildly been expected to be the final installment in the main action franchise, but a 5th installment is back on the table after the movie's astonishing opening at the global box office, according to Lionsgate Motion Picture Group. Directed by Chad Stahelski and returning to Keanu Reeves in the titular role as the iconic assassin, the unstoppable action pick served up a huge $73.8 million domestically and a cinema score from audiences.
A large new study explores the mechanics behind the known relationship between coffee consumption and a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. The study proposes that coffee's anti-inflammatory properties may largely be the reason for its beneficial effect. Coffee appears to lower pro-inflammatory biomarkers while increasing anti-inflammatory ones.
A large asteroid will safely zoom between Earth and the Moon on Saturday, a once-in-a-decade event that will be used as a training exercise for planetary defense efforts, according to the European Space Agency. The goal is to find out just how much they can learn about the asteroid in only a week. It will also serve as training for how the network would react to a threat in the future. The asteroid will again swing past Earth in 2026, but poses no threat of impact for at least the next 100 years.
A Virginia teacher was shot by a 6-year-old and is filing for a $40 million lawsuit. School administrators apparently ignored numerous warnings from both the staff and some students who were suspicious of the 6-year-old possessing a gun. Additionally, the boy had a history of random violence. In the 2021 to 2022 school year, the boy choked a teacher and had to be removed from the school. In the same year, he lifted the dress of a female classmate. He also has been reported for chasing students around the playground, belt in hand, ready to rip them while also cursing at teachers. The child's actions were deemed intentional, and he used a 9mm handgun while she was sitting at a ready table in their first grade classroom. She experienced injuries in both her left hand and chest, but thankfully survived. The 25-year-old teacher seeks a jury trial for her physical and mental anguish.
At least 5 suspected criminals and 2 soldiers were killed in a shootout after gunmen ambushed a military unit in southwest Mexico, authorities reported on Saturday. A confrontation occurred Friday afternoon in the community of El Pescado, in a mountainous area of the state of Guerrero that is difficult to access and the scene of conflicts between criminal groups. A military unit was the target of an attack by approximately 18 armed civilians aboard 2 vehicles, after which a shootout broke out, according to an Army report. 5 gunmen and 2 soldiers were killed, while 2 people suffered gunshot wounds. According to local authorities, the attackers were likely members of LA Familia Mico Acana, which was formerly one of the most powerful drug cartels in Mexico, but lost much of its influence after the capture of its leaders. However, the cartel has been regrouping and has been involved in various violent incidents like this one.
Lawmakers in Nashville have been facing backlash from residents to enforce the strength of gun laws following a deadly school shooting that occurred last week. Democratic legislators led a chant of power to the people from the House floor. The White House weighed in on Monday, accusing Republican lawmakers of focusing on the negatives of the protests rather than seeing the people who are protesting for the good. The Nashville shooting left 3 9-year-old students and 3 adults dead. It sparked a debate over gun laws in Tennessee that has sent shockwaves across the entire country. On Wednesday, thousands of students fed up with gun violence walked out of schools they felt they don't feel safe in.
Police in Australia have urgently appealed public help to help find a man who abducted a platypus from its natural habitat. The thief showed off his new pet to those he saw on a train. The incident occurred on Tuesday morning at around 11 p.m. Surveillance cameras caught the man in Queensland, Australia, holding the mammal with a towel. Authorities say the man holding the platypus was patting it and showing it to fellow commuters while they made their way toward the town of Caboolture. It is believed the man came across the animal somewhere in the Moreton district of Queensland and that he stole it from its natural environment. Officials from Queensland Police and Australia's Department of Environment and Science made a joint appeal to the public for the animal's surrender to a veterinarian's office or police station as soon as possible. Now, Layla is going to be discussing the Myers-Briggs personality test.
The Myers-Briggs 16 personality types. You may be asking yourself, what in the world is that? Well, the 16 personality types were created by Myers-Briggs to classify all the different personalities within society. I would even make the argument that it classifies personalities better than a complicated zodiac chart. And if one is knowledgeable about their Myers-Briggs personality type, then they can take the necessary steps to improve their overall well-being and future. So with that being said, I'm Layla Medovic, and I'm going to provide you guys with some insight on what the personality types really mean. Within Myers-Briggs personality classification, there are 4 letters used to compose your overall type. Each of these 4 letters has an option of 2 classifications to make up your type. That's where the 16 personality types come from. However, numbers can get confusing though, so let me break it down for you guys. The first letter is composed between the choice of extrovert E or introvert I. Extrovert and introvert don't necessarily just mean how you assess yourself in social situations, but rather more technical things like, for example, do you prefer to work alone or in group settings? Are you more accustomed to fit the needs and standards of those around you, or do you value individuality? Moving on, the second letter is composed between the choices of sensory S or intuitive N. Individuals who use sensory techniques value facts, statistics, and data to back up their reasonings. Meanwhile, individuals who use intuitive reasoning often find themselves making decisions through the patterns they observe and through their intuition. With the third letter, it is composed between the options of thinking, T, and feeling, F. Thinkers often base their decisions on what's logical and beneficial for all, while feelers tend to place emphasis on empathy when making decisions. Lastly, the final letter is composed between the choice of judgmental J and perceptual P, thinking. These two are often differentiated between whether you are an organized, constantly on the go, and active person, or someone who is laid back and chill. If you are thinking to yourself right now, well, sometimes I find myself making decisions using both of these subcategories. How can I know which letter I am exactly? To find out what your personality type is, just simply Google Myers-Briggs 16 personality types, and a quiz should pop up as one of the first suggestions. It's super easy. Well, thank you everyone for your time. Let's hear back from me at the desk. Militants in Lebanon fired a heavy barrage of rockets in Israel on Thursday. The Israeli military said forcing people across Israel's northern frontier into bomb shelters, wounding at least 2 people and ratcheting up regional tensions a day after Israeli police raided Jerusalem's most sensitive holy site. Israel's military said 34 rockets have been fired across the border and that 25 were shot down by its Iron Dome aerial defense system. Another 5 rockets struck Israeli territory and the rest of the strikes were being investigated. Security forces added. Lebanon's state-run national news agency, along with Lebanese officials, reported that Israeli tanks along the border fired shells toward southern Lebanese towns near the Rashidi Palestinian refugee camp in response to the rocket fire. Haik, the Army spokesman, denied the claim and said there had been no Israeli fire. Now let's hear with Morgan Allison with some Monmouth sports.
Thanks, guys. Callum Smith was named to the All-Conference team last week after winning the 100-yard backstroke at the CAA Championships. Monmouth's very own has been honored with a spot on the league's All-Conference team, which the CAA announced Thursday afternoon. Smith's gold medal performance capped a stellar career as he won the first medal for Monmouth at the CAA Championships with a school record-breaking swim of 46.56 seconds in the 100 backstroke. He won 6 career gold medals, 5 during Monmouth's time in the MAC, and 12 medals overall. Smith ended his career with 5 individual program records and was a part of 4 relay record swims, in addition to his 93 career individual first-place finishes. Moving on to our home territory, every Hawk in the lineup had a hit as the baseball team racked up 19 runs on 19 hits in a win over St. Peter's on Tuesday, 19-11. Freshman Matt Cervonic had 4 hits and drove in 4 runs, while 3 other Hawks had 3 hits apiece. MU jumped to a 6-0 lead in the first, thanks to the middle of the order. Phil Style hit a 2-run double into the left field corner, and James Harstead followed with an RBI double to the same exact spot. Ben Winstead lined a run-scoring triple over the right fielder's head before Scrivonic drove it into 2 with the base hit to the left. SPU got back even before the Hawks scored single runs in the 4th and 5th RBI hits from Harstead and Scrivonic to make it 8-6. The Peacocks rallied for 3 in the 6th to take a 9-8 lead, but Eric Sabato homered leading off the bottom of the inning to get things squared at 9. On a 3-2 offering with 2 aboard, Mason Wolf launched a 2-run double off the wall to give MU the lead for good. Up 12-10 in the 8th, Monmouth scored 7 times, including another run-scoring hit from Scrivonic and the second of the day from Casey Caulfield. The men's tennis team opened its 5-match homestand with a 5-2 victory over Bryant to secure its 6th consecutive win overall. Men's and women's track and field teams continue their 2023 outdoor season at the Big 5 and Friends Invitational in Philadelphia, PA, this past Saturday. 4 Hawks won events at the meet hosted by the University of Pennsylvania, with all 4 coming via the men's squad. David Strong took first place in the long jump with a huge leap of 705 meters, and he also impressed in the 400-meter hurdles with a 3rd place time of 54:34. Taylor Boris carried his momentum from the last meet in the javelin with a throw of 60.59 meters, winning the entire event. Mujib Ali won the hammer throw at 52.04 meters, and Luis Leonzo claimed first place in the 1500 meter with a time of 3:48.29. On the women's side, there was some movement up the all-time top 10 list. Sophomore Yasmin Tinsley had a strong day, jumping up to 5th in the 100-meter hurdles and 5th in the 400-meter hurdles, while finishing 2nd place in both events. Ashton Navarro ran the 5th fastest time in the 15,000 time in school history at 4:28 and finished 3rd in the event. Natalie Roland Issa threw the 9th best discus throw at 42.06. Roland Issa also finished 2nd place in that event, while also finishing 2nd in the hammer throw. That's all this week in sports. Back to you two.
Thanks, Morgan. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things Hawk TV. I'm Layla Medovic.
And I'm Marie Spelsey. Have a good night.